Hi, good morning, everyone. So, when I'm just looking at the entire theme which is there, so probably I was a bit uneasy that this is something which is on the seed sustainability, and then I'm from the entire of my life, and right now also a core operation guy who is in the commercial. So, I will be just taking all this through. So, let's not see this from the lens of the seed or innovation in the seed. It is something in the value chain from end to end we'll be talking about. So, when we are talking about the climate, so climate proofing quality strategy for the resilient potato value chain. The climate change is disrupting the entire potato value chain, right from the seed production to the processing until it reaches to the market to the customers which is there. And this variability is making the entire value chain more vulnerable. So I start with this particular thing. So first again I will be talking more from the French fries industries and the frozen potato snacks industries when we are talking about the impact of this particular change. So if I talk about the global industry landscape right now, the frozen potato market in which our most of the companies are operating is $33 billion at a global level which is there. So it includes the specialties, fries and the meals. But again, of the total 33 billion opportunity or the market size, French fries accounts for the largest share which is there, which is 23 billion. And this is the prediction which is there, that it will be growing at the rate of 6 to 8% when we are talking about the French fries, and this will double in a next decade. So baseline which I am taking is 2024. So final numbers for 2025 yet to become, but whatever the basis study which we have done is something on the French fries. This is going to be just overall value and volume wise, it is going to get doubled. And this is driven by the QSR, quick service restaurants, and rising consumption in the emerging markets. So it's all the third world market, which is emerging market, where disposable income is increasing year by year. So that is unlocking the potential which will be there for the frozen snacks category which is there. Habits are changing. Now, India French fries industry, what's there when we are talking about the global, what is the Indian French fries industry growth and the future potential. Here, when I'm talking about the opportunity which we are having. So when I'm talking about the SAM is something which is possibility of India in the serviceable, which is serviceable and addressable market by the Indians or the Indian industry which will be there, because that is the opportunity. If you talk about 2024, it was the opportunity or the size of that particular segment is $3.2 billion. In 2024, we were able to, as an industry as a whole, we were able to just get 9% out of it. The opportunity was immense. Still, we were able to scratch only the opportunity which was available. And major share which is coming. So when I am talking about, so major share which was coming, again it was from the Southeast Asia markets which are there. So whatever total exports has happened, in that Southeast Asian market share was 24%. And if we look back for last 5 years, it was the fastest growing market as far as Indian acceptability for the French fries and specialty was there. It was mere 2% in 19, which grew to 24% share of Indian supplies to these particular market. Now second thing which is there in terms of the French fries market, now the domestic market is increasing and growing with the expansion of the QSR. 2024 it was $370 million, Again, it is riding on the quick commerce, consumer, QSR and the retail penetration, which is getting better and better. Now if I am talking about the market dynamics, so if we have to just see from 24 to 28, just 5 years, the possibility which we are seeing that SAM, serviceable addressable market for the India, which was at 3.2, the opportunity which was 3.5 billion dollar is going to rise to 4.7 billion dollars. So opportunity is there. It's how we equip ourselves, make us ready to get that opportunity, to encash that opportunity. Domestic French fries market, again, we are seeing a strong growth. We are predicting that this is going to grow by 16% because again, it is the change which is going to happen in terms of the economy change of the middle class income which is going and the disposable income which is going up, and change in the habits, food habits, which will be driving through the urbanization which is going forward. Now again, if you are talking about the 2024, the supply foundation of the potato which was there, so it is 60 million tons, out of which if you are talking about anything which is getting transformed from raw shape to the process shape, whether it is samosa or whether it is something. So total, if you talk about 7% was the process one. Out of the total process one, 14 was something was the share of the French fries, potatoes which were there. This is going to grow by 3 to 4x, looking at the potential of the growth which is there for the French fries market domestically as well as internationally. And what is the India moat when we are talking about India ascent in seizing the global opportunity? It is the cost, it is the freight, and the growing farmer base, which is driving the entire thing and which will be the moat for India, having a competitive advantage with other countries. Now this is the opportunity. With the opportunities comes the challenge which is also there, which we have to solve it. Can India ride growth wave sustainably? The opportunity is there. Can India? Why I am saying so is the challenge which is ahead of us is, if we see there is a change in last 2 decades, if you talk about, there is a change in the temperature, which is the geography which are there. So 1.5 degrees centigrade is grown up during the critical phase of the potato. Extended heat and erratic rainfalls. Again, it has plus 8 to 12 days of these particular erratic rainfall or heat stress situation is being faced by the potato crop now. Quality variance, because of the climatic impact, what we are seeing is there is a fluctuations in the quality, whether it is the external damages or the internal damages. Again, it is induced by the climatic change which is there. Again, when we are talking about the processing industry, again the sugar content is very important for crisping as well as the French fries industry which is there. That is also getting impacted. What we are seeing, if the impact which is there for the sugar content is 0.15 to 0.3 in absolute terms, which we are seeing year by year. And these are the defects which are being induced by the climate change which is there. This is the pain, or this is the challenge which as a processor we have to overcome. We have to think backward from the entire value chain, from the seed production till it get into the processing line. How will we able to address these challenges which are there in the potato value chain? And why it is important for us? Because in the processing cost, if you talk about the COGS, the potato cost is 60 to 70%. Climate triggers or the impact which is coming from the climate, it amplifies the COGS, cost of producing goods, disproportionately. Now the climate going forward, or what we have to address as a challenge is, climate is now a impacting factor for the cost and the competitiveness. Because again, we are still 70%, when we are talking about the French fries, you are competing in the international market. So you have to be cost efficient, you have to have the quality which has to be there. Now when we are talking about climate proofing pillar, climate is impacting the quality outcome. So what is the impact which is coming? It is impacting the quality and the cost lever when we are talking about. These are the four pillars which we thought that this is something, and these pillar will be roadmap for a resilient, process aligned and for the farm to factory value chain which will be there. When I am talking about first pillar, again it is on the variety part which will be there, because that is from where the change will start right from the varieties which will be there. Looking at the entire situation which is there, so we should work together on the climate resilient varieties. Every year the window is getting short, so we should look for the varieties which are having a shorter window, adaptable and resilient to the climate change which is there. They should be heat tolerant. Singh Saab has already shown that there is a impact which is coming because of the change in the climate, and there are the studies which are going as far as the temperature or the change of the climate impact which are there, and then they are making the traditional geography which are there for the processing or any potato industry that might not be that viable. So we have to go for the new geographies which are more resilient or might be having a better advantage with the existing geographies which will be there, to ensure or mitigate the climate risk and ensure the year-round supply. Because again, it is only the one season which we have, and throughout the entire produce which we are producing there is going to serve the entire requirement for the year which is there. Once it has been harvested, again when I am seeing it's a one season, then you have to keep it in the storage to use. And here the storage also plays a very important role. So the thought process when we are talking about, we should think from the storage perspective as well. The storage should be climate buffer storage system. It has to be smart. It has to be technology driven. We have to use or leverage the technology which is there in terms of the IT. Again, when we are talking about, so the entire thing, there is a change. We as organizations which are there, the institutions which are there, it's our duty that this information should go to the farmer, and the way to communicate to these many numbers of the farmer, the way out is we have to increase or we have to invest on digital capability building and the transformation of the information to the farmers. The entire thing, whatever the communication you want. So when we are talking about, the chain has to start right from the farmer only. So then you will be able to, in the value chain, he is the first person who will be making the entire difference in the value chain which will be there. So we have to get into a discipline right from the farms where the quality comes first. So the challenge which we are talking about, so if we want to write that wave of the growth, the formula for that is going to be geography spread, to go to the new geographies which are more climate resilient, varieties which are more climatic adaptable with the changing climate situation which is there. Upskilled growers, they should be able to make the changes with the changes which are must and required to change their entire habit or the practices which are there. And at the end, when we are talking about the processing, is the cost efficiency in the processing outcome per kg that will drive the entire competitiveness. That is how you will be able to tap the potential which is lying ahead of us going forward. When I'm talking about the climate resilient variety, what is happening with this particular change? It is getting overlapped now with the tuber bulking period. So it is impacting the tuber bulking. So there is a decrease in the yield, the size of the potato which are required, the quality which is required for the processing is not been. We are not able to get that particular thing. Maturity dissing, then probably they are planning everything goes for a toss. And early exposure is again to the heat before it is getting into the store. If it is getting heat impacted again, that will impact the entire cycle in the store as well. So basic traits which we require as far as the climate resistant variety is shorter duration. It should has to be shorter duration, has to have a higher solid. Again, when we are talking about to the breeders, this is altogether a very diverse trait I am talking about, because generally it genetically doesn't work that way, but again this is the requirement which we are having. So we have to think from the genetical engineering point of view that how we will be achieving this. This is the requirement which has to be there. Again, with the change in the climate, the disease and the press pressure is also getting higher and higher. We are seeing now fusarium, scab, many other things which are there, rottages, they are just spreading all across right now. So more tolerant varieties need to be developed for these particular traits which are there. And again, the stability, when you are just putting it in the store, it should be sugar stables so that you can use it throughout the year. When we are talking about or managing the seed portfolio, the next winning seed portfolio for India processor must be quality first, climate resilient, disease tolerant, factory aligned. It should not only be just yield first, because when we are talking about the processing, what matters is just not the yield, is the conversions which are having to happen in the factories, that are much more important. So we have to think from that particular lens that this is a processing variety, is just not agronomically we are working on the yields, but there are certain traits in terms of the qualities are not taken care for, then the processing industry will suffer for this. Again, when we are talking about the new geography expansion, this is the second pillar, and the policy backed supply spread. So Dr. Singh has already shown in that particular map. So there are geographies which are getting impacted. If you talk about all the studies are indicating towards it. So part of the UP, part of higher Madhya Pradesh where it is going to be there, which are for next 10 years if you talk about, is going to be somewhere shift need to be done, and those geography need to be developed, and they can be long-term anchors, probably the Tarais area which are there. Crop shift again, because those particular areas might not be growing potato right now, so we have to just make it value added or make the potato viable so that they can replace the crops which are there. Again, from the seed also, when I'm talking about is the disease pressure, so Singh Saab has already told about that. This is not only the Punjab, that is only the area where the seed production is happening. We have to get or go out and identify certain areas which will be compatible for the larger requirement of the seed which will be going to come up. From the government level I am talking about, so there are some expectation or where the government has a role to play. When we are talking about it is something, a promotion which has to be there, or the push from the government side, whether it is a capital subsidy, the new geographies which we are trying, then we should be able to get the R&D support. When we are talking about those particular varieties, it should be the part and parcel of the government universities, CPRI, that they are testing, then those particular variety specific agronomy has to be there. Then only you will be able to attract the farmers, convert the farmers in the new geographies which are there. Push for the mechanization. When I'm talking about the mechanization, because the window is shrinking, everything need to be completed. So wherever you can save the time, because your window is now shrink from 120 days to 100 days, and now every year it is shrinking, it is 95, 90 days. So whatever the operations which you are doing, you have to squeeze those operations so that planting and the harvesting operations can be skewed in a few days, and that required the mechanization. Unfortunately, because of the land or holdings or the size which is there, there is a big need where we have to form the farmer producer organizations group. That is somewhere the government should promote it to a next level and then provide those particular kind of subsidies, so that the people can consolidate and then their land, and then they can utilize for heavy change in the machinery and the automation which is there. Again, it's because when we are talking the french fries industry, so we are riding the entire thing. So looking from the point of view, there has to be some kind of a promotional or some kind of a support in terms of when export incentives which are there, because you are competing with the new countries which are emerging in the China, and China is another country which is parallel to you, and then policy backed decisions are going to impact in a big way as such. So the key drivers again from this pillar will be policy will drive the scale, new geographies, diversify the risk, and resilience secures India processing industries going forward. Now talking about the third pillar which is there. See, again I am saying, when the farmers are not capable, the processor cannot do anything, because this is the connection from where the things starts. So processor, they cannot plan the margins until unless they are aware at the farm level what is the maturity and what is the exposure which is going and what is the impact which is going. And this can be unlocked through the digital interventions which will be there. When we are talking about this predictive agronomy, Singh Saab has already said that we should have the foresight to see that these are the changes which are happening. And it's not, again, it's all algorithmic based the things. If you are just getting into the digital and the algo, if you are developing, then you will be able to understand the things much in advance, and the advisory which you will be giving it to the farmer will be right time advisory which will be going to the farmer, so that he can take a decision in the change when it can impact. Otherwise, late decision making will not solving the entire purpose which is there. When we are talking about the defects, it cannot be random. So it should be traced, tracked year by year. Algo should be developed. More and more you will be getting and leveraging the platform which is the AI platform which is changing up the entire horizon, or the IoTs which are there. More data driven or data backed decisions can be taken in the right time, and then you can write in the coming years by improving all those particular technologies which is there. So every time when you are getting into the technologies, there are certain times when the algos are not developed to a particular level, there are efficiencies again, but with this particular continuous usage, it will get stronger and stronger, and you will be getting the better results, and you will be close to the efficiencies of 99 to 98 to 99% which will be there. And why I am just talking about, so every defect which is there, we have to just make sure the defects are measured at each step. Metadata has to be there. This is the data for this particular defect, what impact it will be creating for the another data which is you are going to collect at the next level. So every step you have to capture this. AI capability is still, the progress is happening, but it is long way to go. And together we can, as an industry, we should get more and more involved in those particular initiatives which are more towards the technology adoption at our level and at the farmer level. Again, when we are talking about the climate buffer storage, because that is where you will be securing your supply throughout the year which is there. The first thing is you have to transfer as early as possible from the farm to your cold store if you want to log the processing quality inside the store. See, the quality inside the store is not going to improve, it is going to deteriorate. So you have to make sure as early as possible you take the potatoes from the field and you just make them shift into the cold store. And again, when we are talking about the cold store, again the technology will play an important role. It should not work on the audit, it should work on the alerts. It means the real time information has to be there to take the corrective actions. So whatever you had sent into the cold store, the deterioration before it start or trigger the deterioration on, or you can just slow down the deterioration by taking the right decision at the right time. And again, it is starts with farm itself. So quality synced procurement. Why I'm saying this is, this information if you are having right from the field, then you will be able to plan your stores or plan your yearly supply accordingly, because then only you will be able to take the right decision that this is the quality of the potato from the field which is going to the store, whether I have to use it in the short term or whether it will be used or kept in the store without quality deterioration for the long term. Again, when we are talking about predictive digital monitoring, IoT sensors has to be there where you are capturing each and every nook and corner of the store, and it has to be automated with the sensors. Whatever is getting through the sensor, it should trigger the automation in terms of the whether it is RH, whether it is a temperature management, or whether it is the CO2 management in the or ventilation management in the store. So it should not be somebody is going inside and auditing it and then taking a decision. By that time, the things have gone out of the hand which is there. We have to leverage the entire thing, because again, this is something which is very technical. You cannot train everyone to just get that kind of a skills which will be there. So we have to just use the digital twins, real time operation command center, so your expert was able to see everything in one place and take a right time quick decisions which are data based, automated, so that you can just make sure that your quality is secured. And when we are talking the costs, again, because 2 months is just 15 days or 1 month is the fresh supply, rest of the supply for the year is through the cold store. So your costs starts here. It impacts your per kg cost when you are taking it from the store and processing it. And we should think from the point of view that storage should defend the qualities. It's just not a thought process that storage are cool temperature storage, so we have to just adjust the temperature in the storage. We have to have a thought process for which you are just keeping this particular potato. Your storage should be able to protect your margin by keeping the quality of the produce that is it for the entire year. So again, when just talk about everything which is there right from the seed requirement and the pillars, just one thing which is also important is the transportation or the logistics or the movement of potato from each location which is there. So when you are talking about every time that we are having a shorter window, we don't have those particular varieties, but is it there? What makes a thought which is coming in my mind that we should just take it? It's just not the potato which has grown longer makes a better fry. It is the potato which traveled cooler, right from the farm and kept throughout there. When we are talking about the potential which is there, so this is something which is going to answer or where you can just tap that opportunity which is there, or you can just milk that opportunity which is available for us as a processing industry. The only thing is we can ride this particular growth when we are able to predict the risk right at the farm, protect us or climate escape geographies, the new geographies you moved and cooled it before compounded into a factory cost. So that is where the entire crust, because you have to be cost effective and advantage has to passed on to the consumer, then only you will be viable to the market. Thank you.